What's up, guys? AB Investments is back with you. So today is Saturday, obviously 3-day weekend. You know what's happening. It's obviously very nerve-wracking times because your odds are you're like, come on, can this thing be over with? Because you can almost see the finish line and you just want to cross it. While I'm one of the only people or YouTubers that think that all meme stocks are gonna squeeze at the same time, when they do, um, there is a thing that I keep seeing around on various platforms, and it's a tricky question, and that question is it's about like if like how do you know like what the prices are gonna go to will the institutions when they start dumping, um like how bad it will affect the price and all that stuff. Oh, by the way, guys, I have our friend the hookah. So again, I don't promote smoking. It is double apple. So to all the double apple smokers out there, um, so yeah, and I'm not a financial advisor. Neither that this is financial advice. It's just me, speaking my opinion on the matter. So yeah, so like the idea of whether shares or the price will go up, and then institutions will start dumping off. It's a no-brainer that institutions are not going to hold to no, you know who knows, like depending on how this thing starts, like and how it starts going off, institutions will be the first to get out before the retail. That's basically, we could just put that right there, on that platform. The only people that are going to get out before the institutions are the people that don't know anything about this play. Like that, like you're cheap, you're so bottom lining the stock, the value of the stock so much to the point where you sold less than an institution. um, that could be a meme, is that you sold less than an institution. That should tell you that, because these guys hold millions of shares, some really millions of shares, some hundreds of thousands of shares, and just a simple 50% spike, it's a huge profit for them. I'm not saying they will sell at 50%. Of course, they see the potential of this play, of these plays, especially AMC and the other memes. Um, they see the potential in this play, so they're not going to sell it for no 50% or whatnot, unless there was some sort of um, prearranged agreement, kind of like a talked agreement about, because again, they that probed about them agreeing, talking back and forth, and all of them managing how to make sure that they contain the price of these stocks throughout the whole market, not just AMC guys or GME. Um, like you see it on Ather, you see it on BBIG, you see it in COS, you see it in SPCE, you see it in Sundial, of course. Um, Sundial is like the model for that now. You see it in basically you get the point. You see it in most of the stocks. So you you start thinking like this is how you tackle that kind of question, is in like, will the like how will they cover, and what prices, and where will they cover? Well, obviously no one can answer this because they know the inside more than the outside. Of course they will sell much lower than the retailers, because at the end of the day we're holding much less amount of stock, and we need higher numbers to make higher profits, versus them, they can make those crazy profits without having to hold, because they just have a higher amount of shares in their vaults. Now, there's so many variables to this, guys, because this didn't happen before. Like, I also see so many examples for the Volkswagen, and here's what people have been saying, and here's what people are not saying about that, and here's how you break that down. The Volkswagen, yes, there was many less people involved. It was just very organized, and it was just one against one big, conglomerate against the few entities that were shorting it. We know the story. If you don't know, it's just like a simple the parent of Volkswagen company jumped in. They saw that the heavy shorting that was on it, so they just completely put so much money into it and basically forced the short more to get margin called and have to cover. It's just clean and simple. Here's the thing: the shorts in this are much more than the shorting in Volkswagen. In this Volkswagen situation, there was no synthetic naked shorting or fake, shares and all that existed. So that's another factor that did not exist then. Yes, there is a lot of inexperienced. Yes, there's a lot of people who have variable number expectations, different psychological and you know heartfelt with when the line moves of how they react. So at the end of the day, you get the point of what I'm trying to say is that everybody has just different expectations, and so many people involved in this, whether it's institutional, shorts, retail. So all that will come into effect. Now, one thing we do know that the shorted amount of shares, the crazy part is that we don't know. Yeah, so we know and we don't know. We know that it's a lot more than even the 120 million reported shares. However, how do we know how much is it more? Yeah, we could see DD and we could see this, but how do we know what got covered and what didn't get covered? Like, my point is that there's no system that reports fake shares cleaning or cleanup or amount, because it's just simply they won't let something like that be around. That's just self-incriminating, and that opens them to more lawsuits. Just if we're living in a fantasy world, opens them to more lawsuit amounts and disasters, and money wise, financially, than what the squeeze would even go to. So here's my take. Actually, no, before I give you my take, like personally what I feel about that, I'm going to continue bringing in the variables so that we can gather a big picture here. So where did you get? Yeah, we got to the shares and like the people and how many variables in the Volkswagen. So we got the Volkswagen squeeze out of the way because it's completely different than this. And this entity just kind of like said, this is what I'll take for my shares, which was it went up to the 1200 range, and at 1200 that's where it got closed. They just had an agreement and it went for it. Well, I'm not saying also that the same thing can't happen with AMC or um, the other companies. And by the way, guys, look at the difference between how, for example, bbig or sundial, they are companies that are shorted to oblivion as well, and in the same time, their expectations or their ceilings are completely different than, for some odd reason, why AMC and GameStop is expected to be. I understand that people keep saying that, oh, this is shorted so much, so much, so much, but I think that those two other companies as well are, if not as equally shorted, probably somewhere there, probably even um, like in that ballpark somewhere. Like they really shorted to oblivion, guys. Um, and there's no such thing as a stock where it goes from that determines how high it goes. There's no such thing as that, because in the short squeeze, all those fundamentals are pointless. Once somebody gets margin called and the covering starts happening, the price starts shooting, and all of them can't cover at the same price. It's just common sense. I know that's something that a lot of YouTubers are putting out there. A lot of people, even regular individuals in group chats, are saying that, but that can't be possible, because if I bought, for example, if I'm selling at 1801, or if I bought at 1801, that means someone sold at 1801, which means they probably, like, the next batch is going to be at a higher price. So that, because as the more buying there is, as I buy and this person sells, Now, if there's more buying pressure because they're all trying to cover at the same time, so the price is going to constantly keep going up. So they're not all going to get the same covering. They're not all going to, for example, just out of an example, for those of you that knows that, you know that. If you don't know that, then now you get to know that. Um, there is like if once they're all covering, the price starts shooting up. So if person covers at 19, the next person after most likely will get it at 19.50 or 20. And you get the point. I'm not saying that's where it will start taking off from, but that's how it works. They're not all going to get it. That's why it's crucial to them. Whoever covers first will once destroy all the others. They will crumble. It's like a domino effect, because when one goes down, the price shoots up. Even if the other person was okay financially, when the price goes up to another level, like from, for example, 18 or 19 to 24, 25, 26, because of the covering that happened from one institution, then that could be taking it to the next stratosphere that drops the second guy in line, you know, and so forth and so forth and so forth until we get to the biggest fish, everybody has a number. So that's the one thing that's for sure, is everyone's got a number. um so as that is going up and skyrocketing, the numbers are skyrocketing. Again, I will keep mentioning, when GameStop went from $3, isn't that where BBIG is right now? It went up from $3, then it went up to 8, 15, and suddenly it started shooting like crazy back in January, and then it topped out at the 400 something change, almost 500. And at the same time, they even came back with a report, which worries me, by the way, because I feel like that's the kind of burger that they're preparing to give us for this upcoming move that we're anticipating. I hope. So yeah, I'm trying to watch exactly everything that I say, guys, because I'm just an entertainer. I'm not an advisor. So, and the report came out from the SEC saying that that was not a squeeze. That was nothing but FOMO buying and crazy stuff happening. So, for that for people to keep saying that the ceilings are, whatever, and the wall is something and the base is something, that's complete. Like, no one knows these numbers and what it goes to. Bottom line is, the reason why AMC, again, I'll keep mentioning this, because this is the most important thing about specifically AMC. AMC holders, for sure, we know one thing, because the CEO came out in June of 2021 and mentioned this. So at least we have a point there, that and hoping since then, retail didn't all sell all their shares, but we hold the float. That's what's different about AMC versus the other meme stocks. I know that they're all sold, overly sold, and naked synthetics coexist in there, but in AMC, majority of the real shares are owned by the retail investors. So since we have that, if those people hold with the real shares, the party cannot end until those shares are bought back, because that's how that's how they can cover. They can't cover also their shares with synthetic crap. It needs to be the real shares that they use to cover. So they're gonna be on that day, whatever that day is, whenever that day is, Judgment Day. They're gonna be on a mission to try to get and secure and as many real shares as possible before they call an end to this party, because then after that they can say that that's it, it's over. And when they manipulate the story down and bring the price down, whoever is holding is not going to know how many people else are holding or not. It could be like 25 million other people holding, but they will all think that they all, just me by myself and everyone else, and I'm left bag holding. So it comes down, really, in my opinion, to the original, to real shareholders of this play. I'm not gonna come back for part two because this is just getting longer and longer for part one. This is an interesting topic, so we're about to get into some more interesting things in the second part. I just had to bring the base first out to everyone and then be on the same page. Then now we're gonna be talking like kind of going downhill as far as information, like just quick cover bases, and we'll go from there. All right. See you.